basically what we've got going on is I take and spray my rag with a little bit of cleaner, and inside of the little slats I like to take and just clean out everything on the inside of the slats on the actual, mill itself. And if you do it from the front, when you roll it, well, of course, it's a lot easier to clean it because it opens up the groove on the front of your mill. Just be really careful when cleaning it like this, because you can actually get your fingers in here, and if you continue to roll on down to the bottom, you'll actually pinch your fingers. So just be real careful. It doesn't take a lot. Just go in between each little groove around the whole belt. My belt is actually marked with like a starting position, just because I do this on a regular basis. It helps a lot with keeping, your mill in good shape. It keeps, all the slobber out of it. Because, of course, anyone who uses a treadmill will tell you that when your dog, starts to run at a top speed, they may start to slobber a little bit, which is perfectly normal. But we just want to make sure we get in here and every so often clean out this inside groove. And we just do this, and if the whole way around the whole belt. And like I said, if you do this on a regular basis, it'll keep your mill in really good shape and condition. We're almost back to my original starting point, which it's right here. A good friend of mine helped my husband remake this belt, and there we are, all nice and clean. Now, of course, because I have touched this treadmill, Mr. Bo has decided that he needs to be on it. That's how much he loves it. But the next area we're going to kind of focus on cleaning is going to be this little trough right in here. As you can see, there's some dust buildup. I like to use a butter knife to kind of put over the end of my rag, and it slides right in there, and it enables me to kind of scrub under those wheels really good, because it's super thin. It's kind of a tight space to clean up under there. But then I just simply take that butter knife and that rag, and I'm able to just wipe it back out and scrub everything out. And I'll just keep doing this until I have the track completely clean. Then finally, I will take and, every so often I'll spray my rag, and I'm going to hit this end of the belt, or the slats, I should say. And I'm just going to slowly moving it along and just kind of clean out all the dust, pet hair, and dandruff that could be on the belt. And once I'm satisfied with that, I will then start on the next part. And here's my belt seam, so I know that I have made it back to the beginning again. After I've cleaned up everything along here, I turn the belt till this is back on the bottom where it connects, and I just take my fingers and kind of visually and feel each one of these bolts, making sure that they're nice and tight. I don't have any loose slats that could cause any danger, to my dog. And I continue this process. Once I reach my connection point again, I simply stop, turn the mill around, and then I will go through and do this side here. After I complete checking all of my bolts to make sure all those are tight, I wet my rag again, and I just kind of go over the belt, go in between the little bolts that are coming up, and I just wipe the whole belt down, removing any pet dander or hair that could be in there. And just as soon as I make it back to my joint again, that I know that I've made it the whole way around, then I come in and do the inside bottom of the slats. And I just take and wipe everything down, you know, really good, making sure everything's clean. And at this time, I'm also visually inspecting the slats, making sure, you know, that there's no cracks in them, you know, everything still looks good, everything's okay. And I will just continue to do this until I make it all the way back around to my joint. And here we are, back at the joint. After I've cleaned the belt, inspect the belt, and the little tray here, now I just simply wipe down the mill itself. Now some of these spots here are just, you know, like little holes where I've had different mounting brackets. Some of them are little chips in the paint. I mean, you know, you're going to have normal wear and tear on these mills. I clean the tops of the slats on each side that, you know, make sure it's kind of like a guard to make sure the dog, you know, his foot doesn't slip out and could get caught up down here. A little touch of lubricant on each one, just to make sure that, you know, everything everything moves smoothly and properly. Then I just move the belt back and forth to kind of make sure it's, you know, nice and good and lubricated in there. Make sure that oil gets where it needs to be. Also, if you look closely, you will notice there is a second row of wheels. What I do with those wheels is in between each wheel here, you will see, sorry for the lighting, you'll see the back of this wheel right here that I'm moving. And what I will do with that is I will actually lay on my back and come under the mill here, coming up, and spray the back side of these wheels here that I'm moving with my finger. Then, when I'm under there, I will also spray the opposite side of these wheels. Just like I'm going to show you how to spray the opposite side of these. And what you'll do again is just take your oil and get it to where it's on the back side of this wheel here. And, you know, it's always a good idea when you're working with any kind of thing, you know, that has moving parts, to, you know, just go ahead and make sure everything's nice and lubricated. It just makes things work a whole lot better. And just a couple more wheels and I will be done. Then I have what I call my big main wheel. Not sure if that's really what it's called, but that's, well, what I call it. And for this, it actually turns here. I will take my lubricant again, and I will spray that as well. And I will do it, you know, on both sides. And then I'll just take and, just like I did before, I'll just run it back and forth to kind of clean everything up in there. And then I will, of course, also give this wheel a good wipe down as far as the spokes and, you know, everything else in this whole area here. I can't show you right now. Normally what I would do at this point, after finishing everything else with the wheel system and all that, and cleaning the belt and everything, is I would take Vaseline and I would rub it in this whole belt, starting at my starting point, working all the way around the full belt until I get back to my starting point. What you generally do, and I'm out of Vaseline because I just did this the other day, is just get some on your fingers and then just kind of in a circular motion, just kind of massage it in your actual belt itself, or this rubber part on the belt. And it'll also help extend the life of your belt. Now that I've cleaned everything on the mill in this area, the full belt, all the wheels, the tray, the whole treadmill basically has been wiped down, I go through and I check any of my bolts. Now these bolts here hold on this bracket that allows me to use this right here to actually hook Bo to the treadmill. So I just come in here with my fingers and just kind of touch them on both sides, wiggling them a little, making sure that all of them are still tight. Also, here, I make sure that, you know, there's nothing wiggling. Everything is nice and tight. You know, my boards feel good. There's no play in them. And then, of course, Bo is just kind of like, Mom, why are we not running on the treadmill? You're messing with it. And I just, you know, check all the chains themselves. You know, check everything out on this mill to make sure everything's okay. Finally, I come to the clasp itself. I make sure and look here for wear and tear, because as the dog's running, this here is pulling forward as the dog runs forward. So this would be your strain area here. So I just visually inspect. You know, there is a little wear there, but I'm sorry, it's hard to see. But there's a little wear, but that's absolutely fine. The wear I'm seeing is where it's actually the fake chrome, I guess, is chipping off of it. So that's absolutely fine. Then finally, I come down to the actual harness itself. And as far as, you know, the harness goes, when I hook this on Bo, I always hook it on the back snap. And now I just look at everything because, again, here's going to be my wear and tear point here. And I simply check it. I look over all the rest of the harness and make sure that old Bo here is going to be nice and comfortable. I check under here for the neck or chest wear. I check the padding, make sure everything's still thick there. I check all the buckles and the holes on it. Then I come around to the other side and visually inspect everything here. Please feel free to subscribe to Bo Life. If you want to be alerted when we upload new videos, just look down there and hit that notification bell. For more about Bo, go over to his Facebook page, Bo Life, and give it a like.